Hey everyone, this is Ty Kevin83 again, and today I'm going to present to you T3Boy, a brand new cloud-based Game Boy emulator designed with speedrunners in mind. Now, this is still an experimental project, so we're not currently going to be using this for any acceptance of speedruns for speedrun.com, but the goal here is to expand the accessibility of Pokemon speedrunning to people who might not be able to install stuff on their device and need this sort of browser-based Game Boy emulator. So here we have now T3Boy.vercel.app. It's a website-based Game Boy emulator. It uses a WebAssembly build of the Gambatte core, so it's the same underlying core technology that we use to make Gambatte Speedrun on the desktop. And I'm just going to walk through how you use it. So just like with Gambatte Speedrun on the desktop, you need to load a BIOS and a ROM. So you pick your BIOS and you pick your ROM. And then once that's loaded up, just like Gambatte Speedrun on the desktop, it shows you checksums of the current ROM being used. And it's really important to know that you're using the exact same ROM that's being used by the rest of the speedrunning community so that all of your things like RNG manipulations work. Then next, we have the actual gameplay. So I can show first here that I'm using a controller, and as I press buttons, we can see the game advancing. And I can go down there. I can go fast, offset, like usual. I can even do fast options, possibly not on live with the camera facing this, but it is possible to get that to work. Maybe I'll try it not holding the controller upside down. There we go. Okay. So you can see the ability to press multiple buttons at once. And that's actually quite useful for a speedrunning based emulator where you have problems where sometimes if you can only press one button at a time, you can't easily shift from going up to right in an RNG manipulation while you're walking or something like that. So next up, I want to show you guys the basic gameplay. And I also have keyboard input, so you might not see it, but you can probably hear the keyboard input from my microphone. And the other key thing here is that both the keyboard and the controller input can be remapped. So if I don't want to use the key I'm using, maybe V for A, maybe I want to use F for A now, I can just change that, and now over here in the emulator, pressing F advances the game. I'll remap back to my usual V. And the same thing happens in the controller mapping section here for controller buttons. So right now I'm using the A and B buttons as the B and A buttons of my Xbox controller inverted based on their usual position. But if I go to press X for A instead of B, I can go back again to press A with B. And yeah, just basically you just click I want to remap up. Okay, now I've pressed up and it's remapped. Oh, I want to remap down. I'm going to remap down. The key thing also is reset. You got to be careful with remapping reset because it does reset immediately when you click the button. So be a little bit careful with that. But yeah, let's just keep playing here for a second and go up into the grass. Hey, Mix the Pick, what scaling filter does this use? So this is using a nearest neighbor algorithm. All of the window size options are set up so that you are using a perfect integer multiple scale of the original Game Boy at each size. So it's designed to, at a 1x scale, actually be 1x size to the device pixels on your device. And this is something that using the browser actually helps with because we get this thing called the device pixel ratio in the browser, which gives us a direct window into how many device pixels there are. And with all of this, we can then actually do a true nearest neighbor upscale of the exact size of the emulator. So all that being said, yeah, this uses a nearest neighbor, or sometimes people call it an integer scaling filter. The upshot of that and intention of it is we might in the future be able to implement input log playback with this emulator. So you could go to a separate page, possibly, and then you would be able to watch videos of the TASes of things like Pokemon Yellow in the browser. So you would get much, much higher quality than would ever be possible by watching an actual video of the run on YouTube. By basically like live replaying the entire game in the browser. And then at the end of it, you'd have a playable system that you could continue from. Hi Sly, welcome by the stream. It has been a while. So now that we've got that opening intro done, I'm going to show the next part of the emulation, which is the cloud save stating system. So you might have noticed so far that there is a sign out button down here. And right now I'm logged into the site as my Discord profile. Happy 7-year followage. Thanks, Sly. Really appreciate all the support you've had over the years. It's really appreciated. Yeah, so we just saved. And if I go up here to the Cloud in-game save and Cloud emu states section, if you're not logged in, it will say, hey, you've got to log in to use these sections of the emulator. You can use the emulator completely free. It's free regardless of whether you're signed in or not. But if you sign in, then you get the ability to click save and load here. So if I click save here, and then I'm just going to redo it for certainty. I'll save there, and then save here. And now when I reset the emulator, you can see we have save data there. And actually, I can reset the emulator again. And now instead of this time on boot going through to play the save, I'm going to show wiping it so that we can see it being loaded back in from the cloud system. So that's AB up select, I believe. Up select B. There we go. So we cleared the save data. And now I'm going to click load and then reset. So now it's loaded in save data tied to your Discord profile from our Railway database. And when you go back here, you can see again our save data is back. So let's continue playing for a second before we show the next part of the system. And let's get up to our RNG manipulation, because the real key here is not simply that this is running in a web browser, it's that this is accurate enough to be used for speedrunning purposes, at least for the purpose of RNG manipulation. One thing we still want to test for the purpose of like whether this would be submittable would be if this is running at the correct speed. And you can kind of hear some audio glitching sometimes that might be indicative that it might not be running at a great speed. There might be something off with the exact speed that it runs at. Wanley Way is welcome by the stream. Thanks for your support. So we're walking here through to the mart. And we're going to get up to the point of doing those RNG manipulations in just a few minutes here. Thanks, Juan. I'm really happy to see it working, too. I think the next cool thing, another thing that's on the docket to add to this is touch control. So a really big thing I wanted to support with this is people who might be playing from a phone or a Chrome tablet with, like a Chromebook tablet with touchscreen, stuff like that. So all of those different ways of playing the game are supportable. Right now we have keyboard and controller input, but we're hopefully also going to be able to add touch input. And when we add that, that'll really open up a broad use case for the site. There is one, so I can make it even bigger here. So I have this emulator. Oh, I just accidentally hit my reset button on my controller. But you can see here I can bump up the window size to 12. I'll make it 6 for now for the stream. Oh man, we're getting the encounters now. But yeah, so there's one other thing I can show you guys too here in just a second, which is save stating. So I showed in-game saves being saved and restored, but another really cool thing that this system sets up is Discord profile based and game per game based save states. So if I go over here, let's do a save of our state here, and then I'll advance a little bit and then click load, and it puts us right back where we were in the previous save state. And that's really useful for doing things like practicing RNG manipulations, where you want to be not just like playing up through the game to a certain point, but continuously resetting to a very specific point in time where you might need to practice a button combination. Gotta scroll back down now that I adjusted the window size. There we go. There's one other thing this site is doing that I want to make sure I mention because I want to be transparent about it, and that is that the site is using something called PostHog for analytics. So PostHog is a open source analytics provider that is fully anonymous and GDPR compliant. So all of the analytics it's doing, it's basically just allowing me to see referred traffic of where people are coming from to get to the site and how many people are using the site to see like what level of investment I want to put in further development of it. If there's 2,000, 4,000 people, hey, sure, maybe let's add those touch controls. So by not blocking analytics on the site, you can help me see whether to put more effort into it. And like I said, it's a fully open source and anonymous system. So if you don't like it, by all means do block it. And if you do want to help me see how much usage the site is getting, just turn off your... you can see I even use on the screen, I use uBlock Origin myself. So just whatever you want to do there, it will block PostHog by default. And you can unblock that if you want to help show analytics. So we've seen the in-game saves, we've seen key remapping, we've seen button remapping for the controls, we've seen the emulator window size, we've seen how to load the ROM and BIOS from local files. And then we're going to get up and we're going to try the RNG manipulation in just a second here as we play through the start of the game. All right, now we got to go through catch tutorial number 2 for Viridian City. It's not anonymous then, insofar as it makes a request to a central PostHog server. I'm not like super familiar, Yoshi, with like the implementation details. I know that like it's anonymized in the sense that it needs to be for like GDPR compliance, and I also know that it's like the most vetted solution I've seen for that from other like open source creators on YouTube as like a standard thing to use for that. So that way I can help support. Also, it helps things like if there's a bunch of people clicking a button over and over again and nothing's happening on it, I can see that using the PostHog analytics. Oh, you know what? I actually have to do the RNG manipulation if we're going to show that and not just spam through the opening. Start. And there we go. There's our Nidoran encounter. Let's catch it and check the stats to just double check. Oh, I think you can actually self-host PostHog too. I haven't taken the step yet of doing that for this specific use case, but I do believe that is possible with post hog. So now we check the stats, and there's 13, 11, 12, 11. So that's our, with 23 HP, that's actually our best possible encounter Nidoran. That's our 15 DV attack, 11 defense, 14 speed, 15 special Nido. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the little intro. Again, the site is T3Boy.vercel.app, and you can find that there. You can find links to my Discord, Twitch, we're live where I stream like active work on projects like this. And you can find the GitHub source also in the upper right hand corner. You can find all those links on the site T3Boy.vercel.app and from the description of this YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for watching.